If a zombie outbreak were to happen tomorrow, a lot of people would die for reasons they don't even realize. So today, I'm breaking down who won't survive a zombie outbreak. Before we start, a quick disclaimer. This isn't about calling out specific people or pretending there's only one correct way to survive. It's about patterns, behaviors, and habits that are likely to get people killed once the world as we used to know it comes to a halt. Because in a zombie outbreak, most people don't die in some dramatic last stand. They don't go out swinging in a blaze of glory. They die because of something small, stupid, and completely avoidable. Alright, now with all that out of the way, let's hop into it. Let's kick things off with the overconfident alphas and would-be heroes. Every zombie outbreak has someone who thinks confidence is the same as competence. They rush without a plan. They ignore group strategy. They treat survival like an action movie where instincts always win. They volunteer for reckless solo runs. They try to save everyone at once. They grab weapons they barely know how to use, and some assume courage will fill in the gaps. Unfortunately, zombies don't care about confidence, and chaos doesn't reward bravado. These people usually don't last long. And that's not because they're weak or anything, it's because they overestimate themselves and underestimate everything else around them. A lot of them will disappear early, usually after trying to prove something that never needed proving. Next on the list are people who hoard themselves into immobility. Some people respond to fear by grabbing everything in sight to pack up with them. There are even people who need to get changed and look good to go outside despite the disaster unfolding. More gear doesn't mean more survival, nor does looking good for the apocalypse. Bogging yourself down with comfort items, collectibles, and sentimental stuff, or unnecessary supplies, turns you into a slow-moving target. Mobility keeps you alive, and the apocalypse doesn't care how you look when it comes knocking at your door. I actually recall a video from a little while back. It was the aftermath of a California wildfire. There was a guy recording who was supposed to be leading a convoy out of a wildfire, but a car behind him spun out and got stuck in a ditch about 100 meters in, blocking the narrow road and trapping the other vehicles behind it. So the guy recording ended up going on without them. He didn't really have much of a choice, right? So he ended up jumping into water for about 45 minutes to survive. After the fire calmed down, he went back and everyone was burnt to a crisp.
Yeah, these people all got burned out. There's dead bodies in here. They're all burned.
I bring this up because at one point he mentioned trying to get these people out of their house, but the lady insisted on putting on her makeup and she ultimately died for that choice.
I went to their house right here in this white car to get them out. She had to put her makeup on. She died because of it.
And not to be insensitive about it, but this lady had zero self-preservation skills if she did that. Horrible choice. Anyways, folks, pack light and take only what you need. And remember, the apocalypse doesn't care how you look when it comes knocking at your door. Up next, we have people who are out of shape, sedentary, and straight up immobile. Don't forget rule number 1 of surviving Zombieland: cardio. When the virus hits, some of the most obvious people to go will be the ones that are out of shape and immobile. During a zombie outbreak, your body is your transport. If you can't move under stress, carry weight, or cover distances without gassing out, you're at a disadvantage immediately. Picture the first week. Stairs, fences, broken sidewalks, jammed doorways, and crowds pushing past each other. Now add a backpack, a couple of bottles of water, food, weapons, and whatever else you grabbed. If walking a few blocks already drains you, you don't get to pick the safest route, and the easiest route is usually where everyone else is. Poor stamina also makes you loud. Heavy breathing, stumbling, stopping to rest, dropping gear because your arms and legs are exhausted. That noise and delay turns a close call into a bite. It also slows down the group. People will try to help at first, it's human nature. But once reality kicks in, and they see zombies tearing people apart, if one person can't keep moving, the whole group will be forced to leave them behind. But let's be clear, fitness doesn't make you invincible, it just makes you a little bit less vulnerable. Next up, we have the people who just can't seem to shut their mouths. Reality is, in a zombie apocalypse, talking gets people killed. If someone in your group can't stop yapping, sooner or later, they will yap at the wrong time and pay the ultimate price. Or they might share too much information with the wrong person in an attempt to seek some kind of validation. Noise draws zombies, and sharing critical information draws desperate survivors. This type of person will pull the wrong kind of attention towards you whether you like it or not. Bragging about supplies, weapons, or base locations will eventually spread like wildfire. Even casual oversharing turns into a blueprint for someone to come in and raid you for all you're worth. Next up, we have children and elderly. Ultimately, their survival in a zombie apocalypse comes down to the people around them and a whole lot of luck. Most of the time, they don't control where they go, when they move, and what risks they take. They get carried through the apocalypse by other people's decisions, good or bad. Kids face obvious problems. They're slower, louder, and more fragile. They get tired quickly, they need food, water, and rest and reassurance at the worst possible times. They don't always understand when silence matters or why stopping for a break can get somebody killed. Even a well-behaved kid can cry, panic, or freeze when they're scared. And the dead don't care why the noise is happening. Zombies simply follow sound. The elderly run into the same kind of issues, just for different reasons. Many can't move quickly, can't climb, and can't handle long walks with a pack on their back. A fall that would be annoying in the old world can end everything in this new one. A twisted ankle, a cracked rib, or a bad knee can turn into a death sentence when there's no clean place to rest and no real way to recover. A lot of older people also rely on medication, regular meals, and stable sleep. Take that away and their health can spiral out of control even if nobody touches them. And here's the part that nobody wants to say out loud. Both kids and elderly slow a group down, and they make hiding harder. They need more time, more care, and more protection. That doesn't make them a complete liability, I'm just saying it changes the math a little bit, or a lot of it, take your pick. If the adults in charge are calm, prepared, and willing to move early, they can keep them alive. If the adults are loud, reckless, overly trusting, or unprepared, then the most vulnerable people in the group are the first ones who pay for it. So if the people responsible for them fall into any of the categories we've already covered, or the ones coming up, then children and the elderly are starting the apocalypse at a massive disadvantage. They don't get to pick better leadership, they just get dragged along until something goes wrong. Up next, we have the people who can't control their panic. Some of the first people to die aren't weak, they're just too loud for their own good. Despite their best efforts, they fail to realize that panicking creates noise and causes people to make bad decisions. Or maybe they realize that they just can't help themselves. These people can't help but scream like banshees, freeze in place, or fire a weapon out of fear and draw attention towards you. It's in their nature. They did it in the old world and they'll do it in this one. It sucks for them, but reality is, in this new world where the dead have risen, the people who survive are the ones who slow themselves down when everything in their body is screaming to run. The people that stop to breathe, assess, and move with purpose, while everyone else spirals. They are the ones that are more likely to make it. So get your shit together. Alright, so once the overconfident and the loud people thin out, we have the people who are overly trusting. When the world collapses, trust should be tough to earn. Letting strangers straight into your shelter, believing every story you hear, and assuming desperate people are harmless and just looking for help is a surefire way to get yourself killed. People who fall into this category aren't malicious, they're just naive and hopeful. They want to believe that the person at the door is a normal human who just needs to get away from the dead. They want to believe that if they're kind, the person they're helping will be kind back. But the second you let someone inside your safe zone, you've just handed them a blueprint to your kingdom. Your layout, your supplies, your numbers, your routines, even if they leave peacefully, you've still shown them everything about your location. And don't get it twisted. Fear and scarcity change people. A zombie apocalypse isn't the type of natural disaster that brings people together. This is something we've never seen before. When resources run out, who someone used to be goes out the window. The same person who used to be polite in the old world will be a completely different person when his wife and kids are on the verge of starvation, and you have supplies that you're unable to part with for your own well-being. So blind trust during the end of the world doesn't benefit you or your group. Next on the list are the people who rely on rules and authority. Before the collapse, there was always a process if you needed something. You call someone, you report the issue, you wait for instructions, you follow the plan. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, right? Unfortunately, in a zombie outbreak, there is no safe process. There's just you and whatever information you can see with your own two eyes. The people in this group don't die because they trust the wrong person or get overly confident. They die because they can't make decisions without a framework. They hesitate at the exact moment where hesitation costs you the most. They second guess every move because they want certainty first. They keep looking for official orders in a world that's running on instinct, panic, and adrenaline. These people are more likely to stick to familiar routes and public spaces because those are the paths the old world trained them to use. That puts them in the same bottlenecks as everyone else, and those bottlenecks will turn into zombie feeding grounds. Up next are the unprepared, and honestly, this is probably where most people will fall into place. And this isn't because they're stupid. It's because modern life has set us up so we don't have to be ready. You can go your entire life without ever needing to store water, without keeping extra food, without learning basic first aid, and nothing bad happens. Until it does. This group doesn't fail for all the reasons everyone else did that came before it. They fail because they have no safety net, no supplies to buy them time, no basic gear to make certain problems manageable, no skills that let them replace what used to be provided for free. This group of people usually isn't thinking in terms of days without power or weeks without clean tap water. They're thinking in terms of comfort and convenience. Maybe a store is closed, maybe the internet is slow, maybe they'll just wait it out. But that mental model collapses the moment small problems stop being small. They have no particular fallback, no real way to secure clean water, no experience dealing with injuries once basic hygiene disappears, no tools or knowledge on improvising shelter, heat, or basic repairs, no clue how to hunt, trap, grow their own food, or just use basic power tools for that matter. And that's okay, right? They never needed to know this shit. But unfortunately, that would run them into a little bit of trouble if the world were to come to an end. This group of people could also be wasteful. You'll see it when they start burning resources inefficiently. Food eaten without a plan, energy spent reacting instead of stabilizing. Every decision costs more because nothing is buffered. There's no margin. The thing is, the world won't collapse all at once. It peels away layer after layer. First, convenience disappears, then access, then sanitation, then small health issues start turning dangerous. The unprepared don't adapt to that slope because they never had to. Eventually, they get forced into bad positions, risky scavenging runs, and unstable shelters because they have no alternative. That's what gets them killed. Not ignorance, not denial. Just a lack of supplies, skill, and knowledge that is now demanded of them in a world where the dead are walking among us. Alright, next we have the people who let their emotions override logic. This one's about impulse control, or more accurately, the lack of it. These are the people who see red and act before they think. The ones who black out when they're angry, scared, or desperate. In the old world, that might have gotten them into a little bit of trouble. An argument, a fight, or a bad decision they could walk away from. In a zombie outbreak, that'll more than likely get them killed. They lash out when they should back off. They chase instead of retreat. They confront instead of avoiding. Someone steals from them, insults them, or threatens their pride, and they react immediately, without weighing the costs. That reaction might feel justified, but it usually ends with noise, injury, or a situation that spirals out of control. Survival favors people who can pause, knuckle down, and think 2 steps ahead instead of giving in to their emotions. If you can't control impulses when things go sideways now, then the apocalypse definitely won't be the place to learn it. Alright, now we have the lone wolves. Not just any lone wolf though, because there are people in this world who have been training for years to do this and can actually pull it off. I'm talking about the person who's never had to struggle, but is convinced they'd be fine on their own once the world ends. They picture independence as freedom. No compromises, no people slowing them down, no having to answer to anyone, just them against the zombie apocalypse. Reality doesn't work that way. Going alone sounds appealing until the first problem shows up. Without a group, there's no one watching your back while you sleep, no one standing guard when you're sick, no one to help you lift something heavy, treat an injury, or cover you when something goes wrong. And the important part here is skills. A lone survivor with real medical, mechanical, or survival experience can make it work for a while. Most people don't have those skills though. That's the reality of it. So if you think you're gonna ride off into the sunset like Daryl Dixon on your own, I hate to break it to you. Not how it's gonna go. Unless you're him, then, all the power to you, but most people aren't. And finally, we have the people who think morality alone will protect them. The holier-than-thou crowd. At the end of it all, this belief finishes a lot of people off. Being good doesn't make you safe. Being cruel doesn't either. But people who assume others will act fairly just because it's right will get blindsided. Survival doesn't reward virtue. It rewards being realistic. Unfortunately, these people won't learn until reality kicks them in the teeth and forces them to see life for what it really is now. Anyhow, folks, this isn't absolutely everyone, of course, but it's what came to mind and what I wanted to talk about in today's video. Ultimately, most people who won't survive the apocalypse were already doomed long before the first zombie ever showed up. Alright guys, if you made it to the end, I appreciate that as always, and YouTube thinks you'll like this video. If you've already seen it, I got a lot more just like it.